Now let's fall in love because falling in love is magical. How good is falling in love?
Oh, falling in love is a wonderful thing. It's like reaching or arriving at the climax into existence. So falling in love, it's at the essence of our being as a people because it's not only a wonderful thing, it's a healthy thing. It helps us as a people. Love life is working out fully for some people. People say, "Oh, that person is glowing."
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are watching us from. I am live from South Bend, Indiana. My name is Nancy Imasuku, one of the co-hosts on Primetime Show, the show that comes every evenings on Wednesdays. We come in to educate, to inform, and to also learn from our own listeners. So today, this is a Primetime special. I'm actually very, very excited to be on this platform tonight. I have a very, very special guest. This guest is very talented. He's a poet, he's a host, he likes to create things, he's a community leader. Today, I have a privilege of hosting Mr. Noah Ndhlovu. Mr. Noah Ndhlovu is an award-winning author, poet, a certified life coach. He is an exemplary leader and a public health professional, working as the director of a statewide HIV and AIDS program here in the state of Indiana. He is a seasoned author, and his early books include Psalms of Noah and Voices of Noah. He is passionate about sharing stories and disseminating information to inspire and educate others. He is the founder and the executive director of Premier Media, the platform that we're using today, where he normally hosts Leadership Files, a program that profiles leaders of the African descent and around the world. He's a recent recipient of the Excellence Award um, Writing Excellence Award by the Mape Peers that was held recently in New York City. In his free time, he enjoys reading and volunteering for the Samaritan, a non-profit organization that promotes volunteerism. Please help me welcome Mr. Noah Ndhlovu to the forum. Hello, Noah. How are you?
Oh, I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to spend these moments with you.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. You're so welcome to this show today. So I know you just produced a new book that came out in February. The title of
Mhm.
this book is Songs of Noah, Works of Thoughts. So for those that are listening tonight, we are here to actually preview this book and to get into the mind of the writer. How are you doing?
Well, thank you, Nancy, and thank you, listeners around the world from wherever you are tuning in, watching from. I am just happy to be here to talk about my latest book. So, to that, I say I am excited, Nancy.
All right. So before we get started, who is Noah Ndhlovu?
Yeah, Noah is a public health professional, a public intellectual, a poet, and author. I am very well versed in a number of areas, so sometimes it's very hard for me to narrow down what I need to focus on. So I am just a simple person who is always thirsty to learn new things. So I keep myself busy. I keep myself doing research. I keep myself just, especially I take advantage of full time of you learn whatever is out there because there's just so much to learn. So Noah is somebody who is always constantly learning, trying to improve himself.
Wonderful. Do you consider yourself to be a jack of all trades? Because you seem to be putting your fingers in everything, writing.
Yeah, yes, I think I'm a jack of all trades and a master of all. So that's the exception.
Awesome. Awesome. So for those that are listening, wherever you are tuning us from, today we are here to preview this book, Songs of Noah, Works of Thought. So I wanted to find out what really motivates you to write.
Yeah, so I started writing back when I was in high school. Actually, towards the tail end of my high school, that's when I started writing because writing was an escape. Writing gave me an opportunity to be in the world of creativity, a world where I needed to utilize my mind, my brain to think, and just to take myself out of the environment and just be versed or be drawn or be absorbed into books. I started reading a lot of African writers series towards when I was in my high school. So that was part of the inspiration. So I started writing after I fell in love with the African writers series. So I think I spent most of my time mm, reading the African writer series. I think there are some that come to mind from back in the day, but I started writing as a way just to keep myself um, informed of what was happening around the world. Because to write, you have to read. So I started writing, I started reading, I started doing research. So it was just a way to pass time and then it became a habit. And then I just ran with it. And then I enjoyed it. I enjoyed writing.
Okay. How many years was that? How many years ago?
Oh, that was in the late 90s, in 1990. My first poems go back to 1996, 97. So
Oh,
that's 20 something years ago.
awesome, awesome, awesome. So in your book, Songs of Noah, Works of
Mhm.
Thought,
Mhm.
what actually inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, so this is my third publication. So this particular book, I was inspired to write something different because my inspiration for the book, especially for this one, it's I wanted to write a version of different from Songs of Solomon. So as you have noticed, the title of the book is Songs of Noah. So I was inspired by Songs of Solomon, and then I wanted to write something in simple, plain text that people could read.
Okay. Is there any special dedication to whom this book was dedicated to?
Yeah, the book, I think I have learned a lot in life, especially in the matters of love. So I have been fortunate enough to have been surrounded by some friends and just my relationship. So I felt the need to compile what I have observed, what I have learned in the book. So it's just one way of capturing my experiences, and some of those, this is why the book is called Works of Thought. It's not necessarily all of them are not experiences, but some of them are experiences, and some of them is just like playing with words, playing around with words. So it's just where it's works of imagination. In other words, just being creative with words to come up with those poems. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So as I was looking into this book, it's actually divided into three sections. We
Mhm,
have the first one, which is heartbreak, and then the healing process,
mhm.
and falling in love. So, which one do you feel comfortable starting with? Heartbreak?
Oh, I'm comfortable with the either. So let's. You are in the driving seat. You tell me.
So let's dive into the heartbreak. I know heartbreak is not a good thing, but it's important for people to go through heartbreak because
Oh
I think
yes.
it teaches them something. You know, when you
Mhm.
experience going through different love relationships and then heartbreak happens. So, can you recite one of the poems from the heartbreak section?
Yeah. So and there are a lot. Let me see. I can. Heartbreak is something that it's necessary. I think most people. I mean, I wouldn't say heartbreak is something that's ideal, but it strengthens you as a person. Like the common adage goes, what uh, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. So I started out the book with heartbreak, and then it progresses to healing, and then it ends with falling in love. So one of the poems that I'm gonna recite is "I Feel Lost." So I Feel Lost is one of the poems that when you are going through some challenges in life, especially in the matters of love, there are times that you feel like you are lost. So this is a short poem. Here it goes. You whom I took for mine, cherished and loved with all my heart, gave my all to you, sacrificed it all for you, gave you my body, my money, my time. Suddenly, you are not happy. You want to leave, leaving me for her. I feel lost.
Okay, so what advice, like what you've already said, that heartbreak is necessary? What advice do you have for people that are going through heartbreak?
Uh, like heartbreak, for instance, when people are born, it's part of life because most people think life is a big celebration with uh, ice cream and cakes and just celebrating, drinking. No, I think toughness or heartbreak or difficult times, they come to strengthen us as individuals. So each person, in a way, goes through some hardships. It may not be from the love angle, but we
Mhm.
all wrestle with different types of things from time to time. So for those who are going through uh, heartbreak, the key word is you are passing through, you are going through. So you pass through so that you can get to the other side. So it's just for the moment. I just want to encourage you that sickness and pain or darkness may befall on a person, but the key word is to remember is that it's temporal. You are simply passing through, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. So just stand firm and keep your head up. It's part of life to be disappointed, it's part of life to go through hardship, and it's part of life to go through breakup. So when you are going through breakup, always reflect on what you could have done differently. It's a time to reflect so that at least it builds you up, so that at least you emerge even stronger as you move on. Again, the key word is you're passing through to get to the other side.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So we are going to move on to the second edition of the book, which is the healing process. So in your
Mhm.
book, you say that the healing process comes after a heartbreak. This is a very important step to prepare the heart to love again. After
Mhm.
all is said and done, we find hope in the journey of the healing process. What are the steps for the healing process after the heartbreak?
So healing process is the second step in the cycle of falling in love, because when you break up with someone, you go different ways. It hurts. I mean, it's not fun. I mean, I wouldn't advise people. I mean, it's not something that you would even wish on your worst enemy to go through hardship, especially matters of the heart. It's something that you can't really pinpoint and sort of apply some ointment or apply a bandage, because matters of love, they pierce the heart. So when you are in that state, you want to heal, and usually healing is accomplished mostly by time. So healing process is the second step. The first step is breakup, and then once you're in the healing process, is now you accept the situation that, hey, this has happened. Now I just have to brace it. So when you are bracing the moment, is now mostly you are looking at reflecting and not necessarily being in denial. So the healing process is you are almost towards the end of the tunnel, because like I said, you are passing through. A breakup is you're passing through sort of the wilderness, and you're hoping to get to the side. So the healing process just prepares you that you have gone through this process. The next step is to make sure that at least you are preparing your mind, you're preparing your heart, you're preparing your body to be ready for the next step. So that's what I would say about the healing process. And uh, I'm sure you want me to recite one of the points, right?
Yeah, yeah, I will ask you that first. So, what advice do you have for somebody that's going through the healing process before they actually jump into the next relationship? Or what's the duration? What's the duration for the healing process?
I wouldn't say, yeah, I wouldn't really say there's a specific time that I wouldn't say maybe it's like 30 days or 1 year. I think it depends on it's a case by case situation, depending on how uh, a person's experience, a person's past, a person's mental capacity or uh, heart, what the heart is able to handle. So I would say it's necessary to, especially when you come from a breakup, it is necessary to allow enough time to pass before you jump into another relationship, because you have to make sure that it's more like when you eat some food, you don't just go straight to the bathroom. You eat the food and you give it time to wake its way through the body, and it through the esophagus, the mouth of esophagus, and the stomach, and the intestine, the large intestine. It makes its way into the rectum, and then it's finally expelled. So it's a process. So you want to make sure if you are in that process of healing, give yourself enough time so that at least you fully digest what happened, how it happened, and why it happened. Because most people tend to project the or play the blame game. Oh, it was that person, or it was that person, because it takes two to tango. Obviously, there are certain things that maybe one person could have done right, or they could have maybe improved, and things like that. So, in terms of time frame, I would say it's something that varies depending on the situation, but it is important to make sure that you give yourself enough time to be able to fully embrace your loneliness, embrace your solitude, embrace the heartbreak, so that at least it prepares you fully to get to the other side. So, like I say, I mean, I can talk for myself. I mean, I've gone through this process. So it takes time to forget about someone. You don't actually forget. You just learn to live and accept that, hey, this has happened. and I might as well just life has to go on. It's more like when somebody dies. When somebody dies, I think all of us have lost a loved one. When we sit there the whole time, reflecting and crying, sobbing, mourning over the loved one, the spirit of the, I think, the departed won't rest in peace, because it is expected that when somebody dies, our lives has to continue. So we don't necessarily forget that this person such and such died, but we carry them in our hearts and we just learn to live one day at a time. So I wouldn't say there's a time frame. It's just something that carry with us in our as in our hearts as part of ourselves forever.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, thank you so much for that response. I'm going to ask you now to recite a poem from the healing process.
Is there like a specific one you would want, or you pick, and then
Let me just go through your book here and see.
mm.
Let's do Gone Too Soon.
Yeah. So "Gone Too Soon" is a poem that obviously losing someone, like I was just alluding to just a minute ago, that a breakup is could be you've lost your partner to death, or you've lost your partner in the game of love to, so you've gone through a divorce. So in this case, "Gone Too Soon," it talks about losing a loved one. So tears slowly fall down my cheek, remembering those moments together, the time we shared. It hurts to think about my life without you. I know that I don't understand why you had to go so soon. As welcome as death, as unwelcome as death, the robber of life. Soon these tears will turn to joy when we meet in the afterlife. Rest in peace, my beloved.
Awesome, awesome. So, you actually spoke about the process of like dying, like losing somebody could
Mhm.
be related to like the process that the grieving process.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the first step is denial. Is this really happening? For those that are
Mhm.
listening tonight, yeah, this evening, wherever you are watching us from, denial. Then the second step is like anger, right? And then bargaining, and
Mhm.
also depression, and later on acceptance. What can people do to save themselves from a breakup?
I, I think the number one thing that people want to do is to ensure that at least before you can commit, especially when it comes to matters of love,
Mm-hmm.
you can commit to the other person, you want to do your due diligence. By due diligence, it means you want to make sure that at least you are ready to fall in love and you are ready to be with the other person. So I know we can debate or we can talk about falling in love, because I think when you look at previous generations, arranged marriage used to work. So the concept of falling in love is just something that started out in the courts of Europe. This is why people say you're courting someone. But I think when we look at our African culture, for the most part, is we come from arranged marriage. People would arrange because they wanted to preserve maybe a certain class, the upper class or the middle class. So you marry for economic reasons. So when you're going through a breakup, it's obviously it's painful. It's painful because your heart is crying out. So in terms of advice to those people who, I mean, to all of us who want to avoid getting ourselves in this situation, is we want to make sure that at least we first do a complete assessment of ourselves, whether we are able to fall in love, whether we are ready, because you don't want to put yourself out there when you know that you're still thinking about your past, when you know that you are still not completely done away with the other person. Because when the other person, the other partner comes into your life, they are hoping that this is going to last forever. So I think it's we live we especially I know in this diaspora where some of us are based, it's difficult, especially that we are not surrounded by our family like the way it is back home in Africa. But I just want to encourage people that nobody, it's not fun to fall to go through breakup, and it's not fun to hate other people's feelings. So this is why you want to make sure that at least if you are trying to start something with someone, that your intentions are made known so that the other person knows exactly what is going on, so that when they decide to commit, it's not really like, no, I was just playing, or I was just doing such and such and this and that. So I just encourage people that make sure you are ready before you you involve yourself in other things, and you want to make sure that you go through counseling. That's the other important thing. I think when you are bringing two people growing up in two different homes to live together as one, it's important that those people first go through some type of counseling so that at least they can learn to live together as one. So I think we used to see these on the African scene back, I think some of us when we were growing up, but I think this may be a challenge, especially in the diaspora where there are less low, role models or the elderly people to help out in some of these situations. Because I think, as you know, life in the diaspora is different because people have to be on the move, people have to be running up and down and things like that. So yeah, so people just need to seek professional help. I think that is what I would encourage people to do, so that you know exactly what you're signing up for.
Wow, welcome, welcome, our viewers, our listeners. We are discussing Songs of Noah, Works of Thoughts. So I'm talking to this guy who actually wrote this book, his imagination and creativity, trying to get into his mindset and see what he thought about writing the book. So we spent time talking about heartbreak. Now we are moving on to the love, the loving process, falling in love. So I'm going to read this here. So you wrote that we all dream and wish for love. Love is a natural fuel for our soul. It helps to bring the best out of us. Falling in love is a wonderful thing, as fulfilling as a life well lived, colored, and decorated with love. Now, let's fall in love because falling in love is magical. How good is falling in love?
Oh, falling in love is a wonderful thing. It's like reaching or arriving at the climax into existence. So we all want to fall in love. I don't think there are people who would say they don't want to fall in love. It's just that I think the issue is maybe worried that maybe the other partner or the other person may not be the right person. But I think it's at everyone's heart desire to be swept off their feet, to bask in the sunshine, with somebody that they feel they can be vulnerable, somebody they feel accepts them for who they are and what they are and what they bring to the table. So falling in love, it's at the essence of our being as a people, because it's not only a wonderful thing, it's a healthy thing. It helps us as a people to live life uh, to the fullest. This is why when love life is working out fully for some people, people say, "Oh, that person is glowing." It's because love enhances a person. Love makes you bright. Love adds value to life and to others. It's just a wonderful thing to fall in love. So let's fall in love.
Okay, are we expecting any other books soon?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I have been working on my first novel. So my first novel, the draft is done, and I just sent it to a few people to read through to give me feedback. So in my next book, which will be coming out, obviously, I think I will delay I think towards the end of the year, or I haven't decided, but it's a novel that depicts the life of a young man who comes from Africa and is excited about life in the diaspora. He arrives in America. He is fascinated with the life, the lights, and things like that. So there are four phases that people go through in when they come to this part. So that's what I focus on. Is the first phase is you get your visa, you're jumping up and down, you're excited. And then the second phase is now you are the envy of your friends. Everybody is looking up to you and all that stuff. And then the third phase is now you settle down in the US. You'll be like, oh, okay, now is this it? Now you start questioning yourself whether you made the right decision and things like that. And then the fourth stage is now you'll be like, hey, I'm here, so I might as well just hang in there and do what I have to do. So that's the novel which is coming out. It's like I say, it's already complete. I just want to run it by some people to read through and to give me some feedback.
All right, thank you, thank you. You've heard our listeners, our viewers, where you can get his book and his next projects. And I know even on Amazon too, you can download it on Kindle, because I had the chance of doing that
Yes.
on my phone as well, so I can
Mhm.
read when I'm out of home. So otherwise, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and to our listeners, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to jot them down there, and then he'll be able to respond. Thank you, and have a good one.
Thank you for having me, Nancy.
You're welcome.